My name's Michael Render. They call me Killer Mike. And this is Conversate. I just want to conversate. I just want to conversate with you. I want to convert. Conversate.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to Conversate. Swift and Bear got out of there. We got them out of here because just like them, my real friend is here. And you know, this is my guy, man. Charlamagne the God.
Killer
I appreciate you. I love you, brother.
I love you too, King.
So, first time I ever meet you, I'm in the Carolinas with a crooked radio rep.
Columbia, South Carolina.
Yep, I'm on Columbia Records in Columbia, South Carolina, and I'm still friends with this crooked ass radio rep. His name is Luther.
Luther,
yep.
What's Luther's last name?
Light-skinned Luther.
I know you talking about.
He was too light-skinned to be trusted. Too light-skinned to be trusted. You ain't supposed to have good hair in the Deep South. This motherfucker Luther, I'll tell you what he did later, but he takes me to the radio station and gives me a speech like, hey, we're about to go in and we're going to meet this guy, Charlamagne the God, and he's relentless on artists. He doesn't care who you are. And when I heard the God, I, like you, had studied the lessons. So I was immediately comfortable. I said, okay, I know there's somebody who either studied the 5% lessons or associated with the Nation Islam. I said, I'm going to be good. But man, Scott's talking. So we get in there because he doesn't allow radio reps in the room. I get in there with you, and you said, "Oh, what's up, man? You one of my favorite rappers, UTI Ghostface." And
right.
I'm like, hell yeah, like this is my nigga.
That's right. And I remember that day like it was yesterday because the first thing you and Big Boy walked in, and Sleepy Brown I think was with y'all.
Was with us,
and you complimented me on my J's.
Yeah.
And then we was in the studio having a conversation, and this is when D4L had just came out.
Yeah.
And Laffy Taffy was going. And I was like, man, I don't understand this record. I think this record is corny. Mike said, let me tell you something. Them boys will beat your ass. You said they from, I forgot what side you said they from. Yeah, you was like, they from whatever side. Them boys will beat your ass.
Yeah, there wasn't nothing lacking about their taffy, man. Them niggas was slum in hell.
And then that weekend, I saw the record in the strip club. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it.
I get it. But I was, man, you were from Monk's Corner.
Yes, sir.
We meet in South Carolina. The Carolinas of Georgia they're practically cousins. My wife is from Savannah and her family's from Hilton Head. So I got a chance to know that part of the earth. Really spent a lot of time in South Carolina State.
Geechee Gullah.
But yep, shouts out them Geechee. I don't be understanding 40% of what they say.
Them boy talk like this, you know what I'm saying?
Hey.
Them boy say I box you in your mouth, you know what I'm saying?
Box you in your mouth, exactly. Yeah, I had oral surgery, man. I don't know what I said. Me and her were going back and forth. She said, I'm going to box you in your mouth. I said, yeah, I'm going to shut the fuck up. Because she hit me, boy. I'm just going to bleed and cry. But it was interesting because the radio rep was definitely afraid of you, and it was only because you had integrity.
Yeah.
It literally was only because you had the integrity to say if you did or didn't like, you had the integrity to say, this is bullshit. And later on that night, Luther took me to a club about 40 minutes out and told me I had a promo show to do, and the D-boy who had booked me came out and said, man, I just wanted to put the money in your hand because I don't know if dude was going to give you money or not. And I looked at Luther like, you piece of shit motherfucker.
Because that was back in the day when they used to do the promo runs.
Yep.
So the artists would be in the market for free.
Yep.
So of course them record reps and DJs, they
be selling.
That's right. They getting their palms greased by the club promoters.
And I told Luther, I said, man, you could have told me. I said I would have bust down with you, but I kept the money. But I did snitch on him, but I kept the money.
Oh, that was a common practice.
Yeah.
That was one of the reasons I really used to hate radio back then because you get into radio and you wonder why things are the way that they are.
Yep.
And you realize why certain things don't happen.
Yep. Because
it's just all capitalism at the end of the day. Like nobody's in it because they actually care about culture. Ain't nobody in it because they actually playing some shit because it's dope. All of them getting their palms greased.
All of them.
To this day. And that's why I encourage artists now, when that happens, tell on them. I tell them on them.
Look, I did snitch and I'm still cool with Luther to this day. But I would never trust Luther around no money issues. God bless his soul.
I can't remember Luther's last name. I see him in my head.
I don't want his last name. I don't want to put him on blast like that. But I said,
exactly.
No,
I knew it was
Bear.
with a C.
Don't do that.
You're right. You're right. I knew it was with a C.
But I saw my friend grow out of that market into the New York market. Saw my friend co-host with Wendy Williams, make a hell of a present. Saw my friend at some point get laid off, figure it out, pick himself up. Saw my friend grow one of the most dominant morning radio shows. And through it all, you have maintained the same sense of integrity. Nobody has been perfect. Nobody has been without some stains. but I've continuously seen yourself grow I've seen you grow yourself as a human being, man. And it's just, I just got to say hats off, man.
Thank you, man.
Because a lot of times when people critique or criticize you, they think you don't critique or criticize yourself. I've seen you be your harshest critic.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
That's why I'm in therapy once a week for the last decade.
How does Charlamagne the God born? How do you have the courage to get out of Moncks Corner, to get out of South Carolina, and to grow on to become one of the most dominant first? You know, I always call you the Black Dan Rather.
Yes.
To me, I've been called you a journalist long ago. What brings you to that?
Well, Charlamagne the God was born in Moncks Corner, you know, because, you know, when you were a young kid growing up in the streets of Moncks Corner, South Carolina, raised on a dirt road, you know, I started getting in trouble in school. And so my father would always tell me, even back then, he said, if you don't change your lifestyle, you're going to end up in jail, dead, or broke sitting under the tree. And so those behavior issues from school turned into behavior issues in the street. Yeah. And so, you know, you start selling your little dope. You know, I wasn't no big time drug dealer. I was a quarter spoon guy. You get your little 7 grams, you pay you $250, and you hope to, you know, make $100 off each gram.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Right? So that's when I started, you know, being in the street, getting in trouble, going to jail. And when that started happening, I'm like, oh shit, my dad was telling the truth. Like, I'm looking at people who I used to actually love grow up to actually be broke, sitting under the tree. People that I love was actually dying. People that I love was actually going to prison. I was having my little stints in jail. So early on, you know, I learned what a lot of people learn late. Yeah. Which was what my daddy was telling me. If I don't change my lifestyle, you know, I'm going to end up in jail, dead, or broke sitting under the tree. So I used to want to rap. Like most people, you know, who grew up in certain environments, because the people that we saw on television who looked like us, or saw in magazines that looked like us that was successful, were usually in rap or some form of rap sports. Yeah. And so for me, I wanted to rap. And so I remember being in night school, and I used to call myself Charlie, right? Yeah. Or Charles, because coming from that small town of Moncks Corner, when people would pull up and see you, them fiends will go tell on your ass. They'll go tell your parents, like, I seen your boy out there selling dope. You know what I mean? So I used to have a hoodie on and be like, yo, my name is Charles. And so that was always like my alias. And then, you know, we used to smoke weed. So I called myself Charlie Chronic, stupid shit like that when you were a kid. But I was in night school reading in a history book, and I saw that Charlamagne was French for Charles the Great. And then I started reading about the Haitian revolutionary whose name was Charlamagne, the Haitian general named Charlamagne. And then, you know, just listening to rap music, you know, being introduced to the 5% lessons. And there was a barber in Goose Creek, South Carolina by the name of Divine Allah. Yeah. That was his attribute. And he introduced a lot of us to the 120 lessons. And so that's how the name Charlamagne the God came to be. But it really don't make no sense, because Charlamagne means Charles the Great. So it was Charles the Great, the God. But, you know, when you 17 and you smoking a lot of weed, 18 smoking a lot of weed, that's the kind of shit you come up with. But I always said that name is going to look really good on a marquee or on the cover of a book. And it does. And it absolutely does.
And you have been unapologetic in your pride in being Black. You've been unapologetic in your representation of lessons. You've been unapologetic to the point of wearing a beautiful piece of jewelry, one of my favorite pieces of jewelry on any other person of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That's right. How has the association with the lessons and the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, how has that affected you in terms of manhood, masculinity, and integrity?
Well, you know, my relationship with the Nation of Islam started very early too, because my father and Brother Don Muhammad, who I'm sure you know, Brother Don Muhammad literally lived in the town over from us. Like
I never knew that.
Oh yeah, his whole family, the Coopers, they all, and you know, his brothers and cousins, they were all like popular DJs and stuff. Yeah. So they lived literally in the next town over from us. So my dad had a relationship with the Nation from day one. Like my dad was always making me sit down and watch, you know, speeches from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I never really paid him no attention until I heard Chuck D say Farrakhan's a prophet, and I think you ought to listen to him. And then, you know, Biggie later on said deep like the mind of Farrakhan. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is who my pops was always wanting me to watch. Then my dad gave me the autobiography of Malcolm X. When you read the autobiography of Malcolm X, or when you listen to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, what do they always say? We give, you know, as our teacher, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. And so I was like, who's the Honorable Elijah Muhammad? So that's when I read Message to the Black Man and How to Eat to Live. So for me, that whole my spiritual foundation comes from my grandmother being a Baptist, my mother being a Jehovah's Witness, and my dad getting this fellowship from the Kingdom Hall, and really diving into Islam and the NOI. And so that whole spiritual foundation, like those, they really taught us how to live. Like if you read the autobiography of Malcolm X, the first thing I thought to myself when I read that book was like, man, growth is possible.
Absolutely.
You can transcend any circumstance that you're currently in. And then you couple that with a book like From Niggas to Gods by Akil. So my whole, existence to me was about growth. That's all I ever thought about. How do you constantly grow? It's like a video game. How do you constantly get to that next level? Every year, that you have a birthday is another level. Every day is another level. So for me, the Nation of Islam it still is everything to me. Like, they taught me not just how to be I'm not even just a man, just how to be a positive soul on this planet. When we talk about being a spiritual being, living a human existence, that's what the Nation of Islam instilled in me.
Yeah, I look at a lot of things today that people are paying a lot of money for, and it was given to you damn near free. If you go to there's a sister online right now that talks about what she learned in NOI in terms of just courtship. I hear people arguing back and forth about how men and women should treat each other, but you hear your grandparents say, well, you got the courting woman. And you didn't know what courting was, but in the Nation of Islam, you still court. They sit on separate sides. You enter one of those temples of the mosque, the men are on one side, the women are on the other side. If you see a woman you like, you don't just walk up to her and talk to her. If there's a proper way that you get introduced to her, you guys are in the company of other people. It's amazing that we've lost so many things that organization, whether you believe religiously what they believe or not, the organization,
that's right,
the organized movement of Black people structurally has been amazing. Took men who were in jail, out of jail, gave them a paper to sell, but that taught them entrepreneurship, and that entrepreneurship, they went on to open businesses. So I think oftentimes when we're searching for the answers are there. I've managed to lose 75, 80 pounds. What'd you do, Mike? Did you do Ozempic? Nope. I just started to eat once a day. Like
how to eat to live.
Yeah, how to eat to live. And I see white guys on TV now charging people to tell them that, eat once a day. I was like, Elijah Muhammad told us that 80 years ago. So it's amazing, though, that you're outwardly in support. Like, I think I love that 2 Chainz went to see Minister Farrakhan. People are like, you shouldn't go. And Chainz up there with his wife, Keisha, and they right there at Savior's Day. And I think that Black people need to get that courageous again, because that organization is one of the few organizations left that actually has structure.
I used to do youth ministry at Muhammad Mosque number 38 in Columbia, South Carolina.
Get out of here.
Under Minister Curtis Muhammad.
Man, we got Brother Gerard X in here, formerly G.G. McGee, but Gerard X from Mosque number 15 is in here. He got his X a few months ago, so I'm proud of him, because he was one of the brothers when I was a teenager. He was older than me and taught me a lot about the rap game. He was the one that gave me the books by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and encouraged me, and I appreciate him for that.
The first time I met the minister was 2005. Because like I said, I was doing youth ministry at Muhammad Mosque number 38. And so the minister came into town because he was doing a press conference for the 10-year anniversary of the Million Man March.
Yeah.
And so they had me at the press conference. And in my mind, I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever going to meet the minister again.
Yeah.
I know they're here to talk about, the 10-year anniversary of the Million Man March, but I had like actual personal questions that I wanted to ask him for me as a human. And so I asked him 2 questions. And he gave, I got it on tape. I asked 2 questions and he gave me, of course, beautiful, profound answers. And then he said, brother, don't ask me any more questions. He said, I'm going to talk to you afterwards. This is what he said, because I took over. Yeah, I'm talking about immediately. First question out the gate at the press conference. I asked 2 questions. And when it was over, he went back to his suite and they came and got me and they brought me in the room with him. And we continued to have another 20-minute, 30-minute conversation. I got it all on tape. And I remember him saying to me, he said, brother, you are more than what you appear to be to other people.
Yeah.
And I want to give all the wisdom that Allah has given me, and I want to pour it into you. And man, you just don't know what kind of battery that puts in a young brother from Moncks Corner, South Carolina back in 2005. I still got the pictures from that day. I still got the conversation from that day. Everything.
There on YouTube of me physically crying when I met him. And him saying similar to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like when he sees it in you.
I remember that. That was here in Atlanta.
Yep. Yes,
yeah, I remember that.
He's going to let you know. And how has that organization affected the way you deal with your wife and children and other in your community?
Well, I mean, like you said, everything. It teaches us unity. It teaches us group operation. I remember when I was in South Carolina, I had wrote something called the 10 Commandments of Hip Hop.
Yeah.
Because the state newspaper in Columbia, South Carolina had named me and actually my man Craig Melvin, who's like the host of the Today Show now.
Shout out to Craig.
They named us like 2 of the top 10 people in media under the age of, I think, 25 at the time.
Yeah.
And salute to my girl Venom, she was in there as well. And what I wrote for was the 10 Commandments of Hip Hop. And the number 1 commandment was we have to love and support and protect our Black women.
Amen.
And I said, because they are the foundation of everything that we stand on, whether it's your mother, whether it's your grandmother. Don't get me wrong, our fathers and our uncles was there for us as well. But when it comes to like that spiritual side of us, like that nurturing side of us, it comes from them.
What they say, you educate a man, you educate a man. One person, you educate a woman, you educate a nation.
That's
absolutely,
right.
Absolutely. I didn't know Ab Lava was telling me that he and his cousin went to Claire Muhammad School here in Atlanta. They went to Claire Muhammad School. For those that talk about black charter schools, things that Nation of Islam had schools, and those schools produced children much like the Wilson Academy that's here in Atlanta now. The Wilson Academy, former Ohio State player, has the Wilson Academy out in Lithonia, Georgia, produced a 13-year-old that got in his failure, have a 100% rate of putting kids in college. So a lot of times, I think black people have gotten so addicted to the talking about failure that we don't talk enough about our successes. There's such talk going around now about what's our brother's name? The psychologist, Dr. Umar.
Dr. Umar Johnson,
and people either celebrating or commiserating the failure, or perceived failure, man, that we don't talk about things like the Wilson Academy, which is accelerating. We got a brother down here in Albany, Georgia. Forgetting his name right now, but that brother's teaching young men how to do everything from change tires to calculus and mathematics. We have a lot of success around us.
Absolutely.
And I've seen you.
And I don't think Dr. Umar Johnson is a failure.
I don't think he's a failure.
And the reason
we talk about him as though he is. Yeah.
I think
anytime you woken up a mind, you haven't failed.
Listen, I think Dr. Umar set out to do exactly what he said he was going to do.
Yeah.
The school is in Delaware.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But what I think what Dr. Umar may have fell short is he didn't have enough unity in group operation.
Absolutely.
He wanted to do it, all by himself. That's a tall task. You know what I mean? It's a tall task to say, hey, I want to go open up a school in a community if you've never done that before. You got to go surround yourself with actual experts who've done that. But as far as fundraising and getting the building,
he did it.
He did it.
He did it.
He did it.
And it's damn near on us now to see if it expands or if it repeats or replicates.
That's
someone
right.
does. Yeah.
I've been watching him the last couple of weeks. I forgot how much he said he's trying to raise just so the building don't go off in the auction. But yeah, I feel like now is the time to be rallying around somebody like that, to me personally. And I want to go back to what you asked me about my wife. It's like, me and my wife been together for 27 years. We've been together since 1998.
She's amazing.
And so for me, when watching the people around me, like my father and my uncle, they weren't the best examples to me as far as how to treat their women.
Yeah.
Like my dad would tell me things like, man, you only got one girlfriend? You know what I'm saying? like when you get older, you gonna understand. And so that kind of like puts, something in your head that makes you think like you got to be on your player shit, whatever. But when you also study in your lessons, it teaches you like, you should be respecting your women and uplifting your women and empowering your women. So I always had like that tug of war going on inside of me, that ratchetness and that righteousness. Because you got a good woman. Like, from the day, I guarantee you, the first time you saw Shay, you knew this was the one. That's how I always felt. Like, I knew from day one, that was the woman that I was going to marry and I was going to be with. So I had this telling me I need to treat her one way, but then I had the streets and my pops, them thinking I had to treat her another way. So that's always been a tug of war my whole life. Because the thing about the lessons, man, like you said earlier, we got everything that we need to know is right there.
It's there, right there.
Sometimes we fall short or sometimes we stray away from it. So it's just about constantly coming back to that foundation.
Amen. That's a side of you that I see so much and I see that people purposely don't see. And I think people need to see because you just one hell of an example. When we talk to John Hope Bryan or talk to you,
that's my guy.
Man, John Hope Bryan's amazing. For you guys who don't know who he is, please look him up because I'm going to interview him as well. But when people talk about overcoming circumstance, to make it out of the South is a difficult task. To make it out of Moncks Corner is damn near an impossibility. Mm-hmm. But what I've learned from people like you, people like Big Boy who's from Savannah, people like my wife who's from Savannah and Hilton Head, people from small towns have a different type of mentality in terms of being determined to accomplish a goal. Mm-hmm. What did growing up, with or without the knowledge of self that you had or that you gained, what about growing up in those small towns fine-tunes that determination that has exceeded you? Because you've scaled, ain't what they call in business, you scaled. Mm-hmm. Every step of the way you scaled up and up and up. And what advice are you giving to someone on the other side of that screen right now that may be thinking there's an impossibility where possibility abounds?
I always say you gotta have a big fish mentality in a small pond.
Yeah.
And the beauty about being in those small ponds, especially in the era that we came up in, we didn't have the internet and all of that stuff. So we were allowed to fuck up. We were allowed to make a lot of mistakes, right? So it's like whatever you're into, you can become the best of it in that area, right? Because that's your first testing ground. Like that's your first audience. I don't know if it's music you want to do or be a radio personality or, even if it's architecture, whatever it is you want to do, that is always going to be your first testing ground. But you got to be the best there. Yeah. Because those are people that's going to be honest with you, right? Like I'm sure, growing up, there were people in Atlanta that told you early on, like they poured into you, Mike, you need to be chasing this. This is what you need to be going after. This is what you're good at. It was the same thing with me. I wanted to rap, but I had a great mentor named Dr. Robert Evans who was like, bro, you suck. You know what I'm saying? You suck, but that radio,
you good at that.
You could be, he literally said you could be one of the best ever at radio. And so that, I didn't, take that to heart and be upset about it. And when he told me that, I wrote it down and I actually turned it into a life lesson called Fuck Your Dreams. Yeah. And it's fuck your dreams when they're not your dream. Yeah. Like I said, a lot of times when you see people that are successful, you want to do exactly what it is that they're doing. Yeah. But that's not what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah. So I want to rap because I see all these black people on TV making money off rap music. That's not what I was supposed to be doing. But radio, that was what I was supposed to be doing.
Now, I saw you as radio, but you were not typical. You were actually atypical in being radio. You weren't an ass kisser. You weren't a liar. You weren't a finesser. You were an addresser of what was good, what was bad, what was dope. If it was a song just to be played, just played, but you didn't come behind, oh, this is Jam. He was like, all right, that was Laffy Taffy, back to, you know what I mean?
Because nobody taught me. Like, being in a small pond like Charleston, South Carolina, I started off as an intern at Z93 Jam. Yeah. And so when I got on the radio, nobody taught me how to do radio. I didn't go to, a college radio station. I didn't have no background. I was literally drunk as hell coming in from Moncks Corner, South Carolina, literally off the street and getting on the microphone and just talking and answering the phone and talking shit like you be talking shit anywhere else. So that just cut through because everybody else was all professional and polished and that wasn't me. So I didn't know you weren't supposed to say the song is whack. Yeah. You know what I mean?
What I saw early on, once you transitioned, New York was, in the Breakfast Club really started heating up. I started seeing a journalist. I was like, man, my friend's he's a hell of a radio host. He's funny, he's charismatic. But I'm like, the questions he asked cut deeper. And I remember one of the first times I said, man, you're like a black Dan Rather. I like Dan Rather. I didn't grow up around white folks. Even though I got working with Ramsey, shouts out to Ramsey. White people just didn't exist in my world. They were on TV. They were Bob Ross. They were fucking, Mr. Rogers. I grew up in an all black neighborhood on an all black side of town with all black schools and had 3 white teachers my whole life. But Dan Rather was one of the white, him and Walter Cronkite would pop up. And I was just like, man, it's Dan Rather. School will be cool. We get it. And I saw you in an interview. You'd be unshaken, no matter how people are, and you'd be like, oh, okay, but let me, and it wasn't a challenge back. Ego wasn't in it. It was a real search for truth. At what point do you realize, like, I'm a journalist? And this is going to make sense with the next question. But at what point do you get more than radio? I'm journaling the times that are now and making sure that people understand on the other side of the question, this answer can affect the world in a bigger way than just, a few hours in the morning.
I never ever looked at myself as a journalist and still don't. But to that point you just said about, capturing a moment in time, I always knew that that's what that was. Like I said, when I sat down with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in 2005, I recorded that whole thing. That recording wasn't a thing back then. I took pictures. I still have that audio just because I didn't know if I was ever going to be able to talk to somebody like the minister ever again. But I did that with every single. I go to my mom's house right now. She got cassette tapes of me air checks.
So you've
interviews.
Always been a journalist.
I guess
you are. Yeah. Like this, your friend tell man, you a journalist.
Like my first interview was with Fabulous, right? Literally, he put out Ghetto Fabulous in 1999, I think it was. That was my first interview ever. He in the radio station, him and Lenny S. came to Z93 Jams in Charleston. I remember the first, real conversation I had with somebody was actually Little John. Yeah. And it was a phone conversation. He called in. I forgot he was promoting the Bia Bia album because that's when he had he was holding the Confederate flag in the video. Yeah. And I asked him about that because I'm from South Carolina. The Confederate flag is like, that's a form of white supremacy.
In Georgia, we never gave a shit. We always looked at them like losers.
And he explained it to me, if I remember correctly at the time, he explained it to me like, we're taking the power back the same way we took the power back with the N-word. And I was like, okay, I can understand that because there was actually a crew in Charleston, South Carolina, Flavor Entertainment. I think I'm getting this right. Flavor Entertainment, Shrimp and Spence. They actually took the Confederate flag and made it red, black, and green.
I saw that. I remember though. I remember.
So I understood what John was saying when we had that conversation. But that was like one of my first, real journalist conversations. Because I wanted to know, why are you holding that flag up in that video? Like,
I remember MJG having it on the album cover. I remember Dre having the belt buckle. I remember Gift from Goody Mob used. I remember asking my grandfather when I was a kid, like, Granddad, what? You drive down 75, you going in Florida, you see these big, huge streets. He said, shit, you don't give a damn about no poor-ass cracker waving no loser flag.
Man.
And it just, when he said it, it just wiped all fear from me. I was just like, damn, first of all, they are poor. I wouldn't switch places with the person in the trailer park to save my life.
That's right.
And secondly, it's a loser's flag. And after that, I just never had, it never was a thing.
It's so interesting, right? You said Ramsey, you said you just met Ramsey. My first white friend is a guy named Thomas Evans, still my partner to this day.
Yeah.
Thomas used to live right by us on the dirt road in Moncks Corner, South Carolina. And his stepfather name was Jimbo. And so my dad and Jimbo used to hang out with each other and we'd just be sitting around. I don't even know if Thomas remembers this, but like you'll see somebody come down the dirt road or be in town with a Confederate flag and both of them, his white stepdaddy and my dad be like, look at them crackers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So my mindset was always about class.
Yeah.
Of course we understand the underlying issues of race, but it was literally all about class because on that dirt road, it was black people, it was white people to the right of us, and all the black people was to the left of us. And everybody was poor.
I think and eventually racism is going to be solved in this country, I think it gets solved by poor and working class white and black people. I honestly think that's what, one of my heroes is a guy named Popeye, who was a moonshine runner, who got convicted of a federal case of moonshine, and he chose to kill himself versus go to federal prison behind it.
Damn.
And that man, no matter how he felt, I don't know how he felt about black people that didn't, but what I do see him as a hero is because fuck the government. The government can't say this is liquor to sell because they put a fucking tap on it. If I can create this liquor in my backyard and sell this to my neighbors, I should be able to do this.
Yeah.
Because there are mafias and Gestapos that literally just run the liquor business in this country. If you've done any business. So I'm like
the Kennedys. Nobody want to have that
just
conversation.
Saying, Scott, you know what I mean? Yes. They still getting paid. So right. I think that there's a wisdom in being Southern that rarely goes acknowledged, that you've taken up north and you've given. Now that wisdom has gotten you and me in some trouble. Nigga, hey, don't leave behind me on this. Cause look, when I walk up and I said, this is why I knew you was more than regular. I said, the president, Charlamagne, oh shit, they gonna kill my nigga.
if they ain't kill you for Reagan, we be all right.
Exactly. So I make Reagan right, but years later, what scared the shit out of me was when WikiLeaks dropped the file and it said it was Hillary Clinton's, I think her campaign manager, I guess Killer Mike didn't get the message. And I was like, oh shit, I better get the fucking message or they're gonna fucking kill me. And then I called my lawyer, made sure I could print the t-shirt up and made a lot of money off the t-shirt, right?
Yeah.
But I have been one of those people who I've probably known the government has probably peeked or looked at me since I've been about 16 years old. The government obviously is probably like peeking and looking at you for the last 10, 15 years easily. What did it feel like waking up to a tweet from the president essentially slandering you? Because there's a journalist, he didn't give a fuck about a radio host, but you affect the way people think.
To be honest with you, the first person to hit me about it was David Axelrod. Actually, he was like, I guess you pissed off. I guess you pissed off the king. Yeah. And I was like, huh? I really didn't have no idea what he was talking about. And then he sent me the post. And I'm not going to front, my heart beat like it flooded for a second. Absolutely. Like, oh shit. Like, but after that, it's just like, hey man, this is what comes with the territory. This ain't the first president I pissed off. Yeah. Joe Biden looked at that camera and said, if you don't know whether to vote for me or Donald Trump, you ain't black. Yeah. So it's just like, this is the life I chose. Like, I went on Laura Trump's show on Fox News and I expressed, how I feel like his policies have not been working for working class people. That's all I care about at the end of the day. I care about the poor and the disenfranchised. I care about people having more money in their pocket, some food on their table, and a roof over their head. If you making it hard for those folks, I got a problem with you. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. I remember being in Maryland early this year, man, for my daughter's cheerleading competition. And the amount of people who came up to me in Maryland telling me about how they was losing their jobs or they was afraid they was going to lose their jobs. Black people, white people, these are just people who work for the government. And I was just like, damn. So to see everything that's happened with those, to see these tariffs putting, extra stress on people's pocket, that shit don't feel good. I'm a person, I go back to my community in Moncks Corner, South Carolina. I'm always doing something in my hood. I was just there a couple of weeks ago doing my 10th my 10th year of backpack giveaways. You know what I mean? But now it's not even just backpacks. We do backpacks, school supplies. We got the food trucks out there giving away free food. Man, when a mother comes up to you with their child and the child asks you for $4 for an icy, and you're like, nah, everything's free. And then she was like, oh, I forgot everything's free.
Yeah.
And then she's like, go get your sister, because I ain't got $8.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
When you
know what I'm saying?
When you really doing the work, you don't have time to pay attention to the criticism a lot of times because you're doing the work. I'm
glad we're doing this on your show, because I want to say this. Everybody that I see really doing the work for Black people gets the most shit. And I say that all the time.
Lord knows
the way they come at my good brother Killer Mike, Michael Render, the way they come at people like Jay-Z, the way they come at people like Tyler Perry, the way they come at people like Steve Harvey. And the reason I'm naming those individuals is because those are the people that I see actually pouring back into Black people, whether y'all see it or not, with the job opportunities. You know, with charity, like whatever it is, they're always y'all are always constantly pouring back into Black people, and y'all get the most shit from Black people.
Yeah. It's a nigga right now. The problem with Killer Mike, I was like, boy, when I see you, it might be a problem, but it's not gonna be a problem.
That's so funny. I watched that video.
Yeah,
I didn't watch the whole thing. I had to turn it off because I'm like, I don't see what the point he's trying to make.
Yeah. And then at the end, you just at the end you highlight. You could have used 47 minutes to talk about the what whatever you put in the last 3 minutes. But bigger than that, y'all always ask for money at the end.
After telling you that you ain't shit
you're
for being a Black capitalist.
Could I have $10 for my Patreon? I'm like, you piece of shit ass nigga.
You're right. You know?
Hey, there's an online cannabis company coming to you, and it's called Mood. It's called Mood because they give you gummies, and those gummies help with all type of moods you may have. Helps with everything from just brightening up, having a euphoric day, sexually provocative, makes you in the mood, even helps with menopause and stuff like PMS that women and girls have been known to have. I know nothing of those things because I'm a boy. But if you use the promo code Killer Mike at mood.com and Killer Mike in all caps, you get 20% off your first order. That's right. These things have been manufactured, flour and gummies, to make sure that you're in the mood that you want. Federally legal, so it drops at your door after order. And what's the coolest part of it? 20% off. First time users act. First time, put Killer Mike in all caps, 20% off. Next thing you know, you get flour or gummies, federally legal, to your door to help you with your moods. Help you feel sexually aroused. Helps you feel uplifted and euphoric. Helps deal with the pains of menopause and PMSing. Mood.com. Mood.com is addressing your cannabis needs right now. Mood.com is doing it legally. They're doing it safely because it delivers straight to your door as long as you use that promo code Killer Mike in all caps at Mood.com. Get your pre-orders there and get put in the perfect mood today. What trips me out is if you've been doing the knowledge as long as we have, you've seen every scheme and scam because Dr. Naeem Akbar is still alive. And you guys are not celebrating him. Amos Wilson was still alive. Y'all were not celebrating him. Dr. Khalid Muhammad, when he was alive, y'all damn to let him die anonymous. When you look at Minister Farrakhan, he's still alive and has an organization.
That's right.
So a lot of y'all critique, but you don't have an organization to lead to. And that's my thing. I'm never asking you. I ask for your money on the front end. I got a concert. Come to my concert. We get the albums for free with Run the Juice. Hey, I got a concert. That's right. But you always, every communist, Black communist I've ever disagreed with, or that's disagreed with me, because I don't have no time to disagree with nobody. At the end of whatever information they send me, to ask them for money. Well, how do I give you money if I don't have capital?
That's right.
You know, and we're all in some part participating in capitalism here, and that's not my defense of capitalism. I remember asking someone, I say, I used to be confused. They say, well, slave bought his own freedom. Well, how did that work? They had Sundays off. They sat with their master and they negotiated a term. I'm going to go work for somebody else on Sunday because every farmer does not own slaves. I'm gonna go up the road. I'm gonna work for this poor white farmer who needs help. He's going to pay me this. I'll do a 60-40 split with you, and I'm going to buy my freedom. So we understood capitalism from the start. You know, motherfuckers. You know, I hate to see you get that criticism because I say I've seen this brother grow, and with every growth and opportunity, I've seen you provide opportunity. You know, to some people, oh, he owns the crystals, or foods, but it's like after the games in the South, people go to Crystals.
You damn right. Come with me to Crystals in Walterboro, and watch somebody like my man Jameson, who 25 years old, man. I got a job because of you.
I got a job.
The fuck, y'all can't tell me nothing. Like, get the fuck out of here. Y'all don't see it. They talk about people they never talk to.
And
that's the problem.
And what's crazy is you can talk to. Like the brother that criticized me, God bless his soul, I'm like, bro, you could have just pulled up on me. You know what I'm saying? I pull up on, and we could conversate, and we could disagree or agree.
But you know why he don't want to do that? Capitalism. He got his YouTube page, and he needs to get his likes and his subscribers and his engagement so he can get a couple dollars.
And one of the things I was really insulted about him, I'm like, damn, man, you talking about my mama, but you put a picture of my grandmama up. Everybody who really knows my story knows I have 2 dads. You put the wrong dad up. What if I put your wife and children on TV?
That's right. Man, you remember that morning I hit you? And I'm not even going to say the doctor's name because I don't want her to be getting no harassment or nothing, but she was on MSNBC, and she was on there with Stephanie Rule, and it was when them Trump sneakers came out.
Yeah.
And I know Stephanie Rule. All Stephanie Rule was about to say was, how come people like Killer Mike and Charlamagne just don't speak out against these sneakers? Even though I told her I just gave them donkey today that Friday. She hadn't heard shit. But before she could finish her sentence, that sister said, because they both need to read a book. And they are, what did she call us? Russian propaganda. We spreading Russian propaganda. I'm like, God damn!
I'm like, what the hell? It's like when you start to straight lie. Like I have went from he met with Kemp to he's softly endorsed Kemp to he ran Kemp's campaign. Yes. I'm just like, what?
That's right.
I'm like, first of all, I'm not going to live in a state in which I, as a kid from the west side of Atlanta, whose grandmother could get to our mayor in 6 phone calls because she was a neighborhood organizer. I can get to my mayor in 1 phone call. I'm not going to turn down the opportunity to converse with my governor. This is the like, no matter what you think, this is the governor of your state. You know what I mean? I know Jim Clyburn probably don't like me, but when I meet that old man, I'm going to shake his hand and say, hey, man, I was with Bernie, you was with Hillary, you absolutely won, but thank you for the work you've done in South Carolina, and how could I help to make South Carolina better? You have to, in this system, work with those you agree or disagree with. I remember I did your show. You asked me about Miss Abrams, someone who I supported twice. Woo. I supported her on the first and second round. When she stopped taking my advice on the second round, I say I'm a gracefully bow. I say the Democrats need to do a door knocking campaign. Oh man, motherfuckers went crazy. Yeah. And I was just like, shame on y'all. Shame on y'all for misleading people. And not saying she, but the people that were in support. Because Democrats right now saying, oh, what must we do in Georgia? Go knock on some doors. Our mayor won. You never mentioned the fact that our mayor won. You never mentioned the fact that I helped Ossoff or Warnock get elected. I just saw the brother we were just talking about with the who liked cartoons too much, got the beautiful wife and children. But in mentioning that I met with the governor, you failed to mention I helped get Ossoff and Warnock elected.
That's right.
In mentioning that I interviewed Herschel Walker, you forgot to mention on purpose that I interviewed Warnock, and I only interviewed Warnock when I did because he wouldn't interview early. I actually interviewed him before Herschel. So at least be fair in your criticisms. It's like when I see people criticize you. Many of the criticisms are just unfair. What could we do to return to a policy of the fucking truth? Because right now it seems that we've just kind of turned into patsies that, and this ain't just on your team, either I'm a Cowboys fan or I'm a Redskins fan, versus I'm a fan of fixing what's wrong with the working class community so that the working class community stands a fair shot.
Well, the truth don't need no defense. It just needs witnesses.
Yeah.
And what I've learned over time is that eventually those who stood on truth, history is kind to them. Because there's nothing we're going through that others haven't gone through.
King went through.
All of them. Malcolm, King, God, name them. Like everybody, and they got a lot of criticism from their own people. And I'm not comparing us to them in no way, shape, or form. I'm just saying a lot of niggas just love to complain, right? Because they don't have no other ideas. And that's my only thing. Just come with a better idea. Yeah. At least I'm out here trying to do something. You don't have to agree or disagree with what I'm doing, but just don't try to hurt me or make it seem like what I'm doing isn't effective. Yeah. Because I know it is.
Don't lie.
Oh, don't lie. Man, they said
country folks don't like being lied on.
Man, they told me, they said Killer Mike and Charlamagne ruined Stacey Abrams' campaign. How? Because you put him on the show. I don't know if that was a week or some vote. I don't know what it was. But my thing was, did you hear what he said? All he said was, Brian Kemp did this, and this is how he had an effective week. He went here, here, and here, and Sister Stacy has yet to show up there yet. Yep. How is that a diss?
I didn't even say not yet. I just say go, show up.
That's it.
Knock on the door.
Go.
That's it. And
how is that a diss?
Yep.
That sounds like strategy to me.
Since then, I've met with him more and talked to him more. I met with him around the issue of him signing a gang, which essentially prosecutors have the ability to give you a gang indictment. So you're a young kid. You've been recruited to a gang. You're 15, 16 years old. You've been recruited by a 20, 21-year-old. You do a crime that may be minuscule or heinous, but the crime can be enhanced now with the Gang Enhancement Act. I said, Governor, please don't sign this bill. I knew he was right. He gave me audience with his whole administration note to pitch, and allowed me to bring gang organizers and people who organize against it to the meeting. Gave me an ear where other people wouldn't. After he signed, I said, well, I figured you signed, but now that just means I have to go petition the prosecutor. So Fonnie, I have to say, hey, please, Fonnie, not this kid. If it happens in DeKalb, please. So the work never stops. That's what people don't get. I've been doing the work long and I've been a rapper, so I'm not going to stop. I've been seeing you do the work in 20 years, a culmination of 20 years. You didn't just pop up, the Breakfast Club, the hottest thing, and then all of a sudden I feel guilty, I'm going to start work. You've been working the entire way through.
I mean, all I know is service, because that's how my grandmother was. That's how my father was. That's how my mother was. And service to me is something as simple as, hey, baby, you want to eat?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You in my grandmother's yard and you playing, my grandmother going to call you in the house and, fix you a plate. My dad, he had a fish market, growing up back in the day. He always had like a little juke joint where he would, be selling his alcohol and stuff like that. So he would always make sure everybody had a drink in their hand or everybody had some food. So to me, that's being of service, right? Like go cut the old elderly person's yard. You know what I mean? If Thanksgiving's around, make sure that they got a turkey or something. Like that's just what I always knew. And growing up, I didn't even know what philanthropy was. I used to see that word all of the time.
Yeah, right? I spelled it with an F the first few times I heard.
What I'm saying? But it just made sense to me when you study things like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when you see the communities that Marcus Garvey was trying to build, it's like that takes capital. So Jay-Z said it, man. The best way to help the poor is not to be one of them.
Yeah, Hov hit me the other day, and he hit me with the, hey, man, because, Guru is my friend and his engineer. Guru gets pissed when he sees people slander me, people slander you. And Guru would be like, yo, I just want to go. I say, Guru, it ain't nothing to say. I say, people hit me. Hey, man, do you see this? I say, why would I see it? I have no interest in the guy's opinion of me. But Jay hit me just like, hey, man, I'm just, man, how do you deal with this shit? Like I'm getting this amount, but I've seen, he said, man, you just be quiet. He said, history, you know what I mean? I'm just like, how do you, but in terms of.
No, it's just funny because that's what I do. I do the same thing. How do you deal with this shit? And I remember he gave me a great piece of advice one time. He said, look, man, he said, if somebody said to you, you're going to have all the success that you currently have, and you're going to have more. Yeah. And you're going to be able to, feed your family and help people the way that you want to help people. But the only thing you got to deal with is criticism and niggas lying on you. You would take that deal nine times out of 10 every time. I said, absolutely. Absolutely. And that it's so simple, but it actually puts things in perspective.
Yeah,
for
God
you.
gives you what you ask for.
Absolutely.
What do they say? If you ask God to be strong, He's not going to just make you strong.
That's right.
He's going to give you an environment in which you have to become strong.
That's right. And it's funny because Hov gave me some advice that my therapist gave me. My therapist said, and salute to Elliot Connie. Elliot said, you cannot have your success without having your problems.
That's true.
That's it.
Speaking of success and problems, I've seen you grow as a business person and be an example to me. We have a mutual friend, Lil Duval. Lil Duval.
Salute to Duval.
Look, shouts out, man. Our little bro be on fuck them niggas.
Yeah.
Bro is not going to argue. He
think we ridiculous.
Yeah.
He think we are ridiculous. Yeah, he think that he was like, I don't know why y'all be talking that politics shit. I don't know why y'all want to be involved in that shit. I got all these acres over here for when they get tired of y'all niggas and y'all family gonna need a place to live.
That's the way he talks to us too. But I've seen you as a businessman grow business, and not just for your own self-worth. I've seen you give other people opportunity through media, through giving people opportunity through, people might think crystals ain't a big deal, but when you're a high school kid and you can buy $100 slab or sell a pill, or you can go work a few hours with people you already go to high school with, laugh and joke, and y'all get a check every 2 weeks. Sometimes that check is going to be the better option. It's going to buy you first little hoop. It's going to give you the proven that when they brought the jobs program back in Atlanta, shouts out to Mayor Andre Dickens for doing that. Shouts out to Washington, D.C.'s mayor for bringing these jobs program back. They see a fall in crime. Where jobs go up, for kids in high school,
Simple.
Crime seems to fall because they don't have the distraction of being bored and not having anything to do. What, and besides your father, now that I've heard that story a few times, but you are seen dead set and determined to be an entrepreneur, and not in a self-satisfying way, but in a way that gives people opportunities. What are the advantages? Because we both talked to John Hope Bryant. What are the advantages? Andy Young says this: capitalism is the worst form of economy that exists, except for every other form of economy. What gives you the fortitude to say, man, I'm going to engage in capitalism and win in such a way that it gives other people opportunity?
Well, number one, we're in America, so there's really no other option, right? Like there's really no other option. You're either going to participate in the system or you're not.
Or be a victim of it.
Or be a victim of it. But, watching my father have a fish market back in the day, watching my father sell dope, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Watching all the entrepreneurs around me who, would do things with their money when it was illegal money, like whether it was, throwing parties, you know what I mean? Whether it was opening up some type of, bar or club or something, like people were always trying to do, positive things with this, negative money.
What are we giving?
And so for me, it was just always about thinking like, man, if what you build only benefits you, it's not big enough. Like I want to be able to provide people opportunities. I want to be able to provide people a job. Like I know how it feels to be working at a temp service or to be walking in and out of different places, filling out an application. And then when you get to that, have you ever been convicted of a felony and you got to, write that down and you're probably not going to get the job because of it. I want to be the person that can look at an individual that comes from where I come from, has those same, setbacks and be like, you know what? All he needs is an opportunity. All she needs is an opportunity.
You've given some dangerous people an opportunity too. And I don't mean dangerous in terms of criminal, but one of the most outspoken heroes of mine on the political landscape is someone named Teslin Figueroa. Teslin is an absolute fucking warrior. She reminds me so much of the fearless women that my grandmother would talk to and talk about, Fannie Lou Hamer, in terms of her defense of Black people in particular. When you look at people like, to me, who should be the leader of the progressive movement, Senator Nina Turner. Nina was down here the other day, just absolutely amazing.
I met both of them because of you.
Yeah.
I met both of them because of you, because,
talk about them.
Bernie Sanders back in 2016. That's so funny. Our first political interview ever on Breakfast Club was Bakari Sellers.
Yes.
Right? Bakari from South Carolina, he was running for lieutenant governor in 2014. And Bakari had such a bump from doing Breakfast Club that he just started telling everybody. So it started kind of making ripples through the Democratic Party. And then Bernie Sanders at the time was surrounded by Simone Sanders, and Nina Turner, and Teslin Figueroa, and you was sitting by him and standing next to him. And I'm like, oh, so the first time we ever interviewed a politician of that stature, I forgot where y'all was at, but we drove there. I think y'all might have been in Columbia or somewhere. Yeah. And we were in Charlotte. Man. So the whole Breakfast Club drove from Charlotte to Columbia to sit down with you and Bernie Sanders. And it was so interesting to me, man, because if you ask me, you are the person who put Bernie Sanders on a national level. And I think we failed Bernie Sanders tremendously by not, getting behind him. And the only reason I didn't get behind him the way that I wanted to is because people told me he couldn't win. Yeah. That's literally it. Like the only person that believed in him in that way was you and Senator Nina Turner. Yeah. And so, but
and people still make us suffer for that till this day. I believe she should have a national presence.
Oh, absolutely.
She should literally be the leader of the National Progressive Party. Absolutely. She is not. And Teslin has said it. And Teslin, to the point, she beef with the OG Bernie. She called him Bernard sometimes. Mad because she's like, she should be even on tour with him.
And I loved the beauty that came out of that situation was those relationships, though. Yeah. Meeting those two strong sisters, Nina and Tez. When I launched the Black Effect Podcast Network, that was a no-brainer. Yeah. Tez, you want a podcast? Nina, you want a podcast? Yeah. Was able to put some money in their pocket, and we was off to the races. So it's just like, to me, that's what, this is about. Like, when you meet those divine connections and you meet certain people, it ain't about, okay, me and Mike got a relationship. Mike, like, look, you need to know this person, and you need to know that person. That's how I even approach business. It's the same exact thing. To me, that's what it's about. When you open up a business and when you're able to, like when I can start something like the Black Effect, or start something like, the company me and Kevin Hart got, XBH Productions, where we do audio scripted content. All of these great creatives, all of these people who I know got something to say, got stories that they want to be told, but for whatever reason, the industry don't see the vision. Yeah. We see it because we Black and we come from these areas and we know these people and we know how these stories will resonate.
That's what I mean. You're so generous with your sharing of opportunity. When you look at Black Effects, John Hope Bryant did a great job of podcasting. Getting with you to me, fine-tuned them, sharpened it. Like you guys have done an even better job.
He's on our board too.
Yeah,
he's one of our board members.
There's certain people that, and what I would like for Black people to start to see is there is, and I think what I see in the white business community is there's more than enough. There's more than enough for even your competitors in that space. I looked at a story of McDonald's and Burger King, how they literally, you've seen Coke and Pepsi do it your whole life. They use each other to compete, but the competition makes everything grow. I remember reading about the guy who was trying to grow PepsiCo out of South Africa and stuff. He said, I just need like a 2 or 3% market share growth that'll equal these many billions. I was like, God damn, they talking about 2 and 3%. I remember when Jay-Z started talking about once 1-2%, when you start talking about billions and trillions, it can transform a whole community.
You damn right.
And if we don't start to get that understanding, then we continue to just pull each other down versus pushing someone over the ledge and then them helping to pull the next person.
Man,
up.
that what you just said is everything, right? Like when you talk about those percentages, like right now they want to put this casino, the Caesars Palace Casino in Times Square, right? Yeah. Rock Nation, SL Green, and Caesars Palace. Rock Nation is proposing 0.5% in perpetuity to communities
forever
around that area. So like Manhattan Plaza and all the different communities around there. And you might look and be like 0.5%. Man, if the numbers are correct and this, this business is going to be generating $2-3 billion a year, that's millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars every year forever. For these communities that don't have anybody pouring into them like that.
That changes public schools.
That's right.
That changes the ability for transportation and jobs. That changes what the dirt is worth.
That's right.
And people often say, man, I think people have this romanticized view of radicalism. The people that are on your YouTube channel shouting down Black capitalism are capitalists.
That's right.
because they monetize their YouTube channel.
That's right.
But they only give a fuck about them, they nappy head ass wife and children. I love my nappy head ass wife and children. But man, I would love for a bunch of nappy head wives and children to be better.
That's right.
I tell people, I don't own shit. The building I'm sitting in is the only thing my name on.
My thing is, what have you done? That's the only thing that bothers me about any of those people with so much criticism.
I'm not mad at you doing something. I'm just saying what you learn when you get around some other people is if you scale up what you're doing, then man, you could be, everyone likes to play football. Everyone likes to play basketball, baseball. But if you start an MLB, if you start an NBA, start an NFL, man, how can you affect? I talked to Kasim Reed and I was like, I was one of the people like, man, you got the Braves get out of Atlanta. The Braves transformed Cobb County.
Talk to me.
Cobb County was the count on being busted. I worked at Chuck E. Cheese at 17 years old. Oh man, Cobb County pulled our black ass over, pulled our black asses out the car and searched us like we were hardened criminals. And I literally look at the cop like, I'm like, we kids. We going to Chuck E. Cheese to work. And the cop got so embarrassed, his face turned red, and they let us go. That was Cobb County then. Fast forward to when Big Boys invited up for the World Series celebration after they won. I see a black cop with dreadlocks, and he see it on my face. He look at me and say, yeah, Mike, they hire us up here now.
Damn.
And I said, and that's exactly what I said. I said, damn. He said, yeah. He said, more of the force looks like us. The chairperson, the person who runs it, then there's a black woman. And
that was because of the Braves?
That's because of the Braves. By moving the Braves, because what you do is you move money in a place. You can't stay the same subtly racist place.
That's right.
Because now the Braves are there. And the Braves have this land. The Braves have these restaurants. The Braves have this piece of real estate where you don't have to say we need diversity, equity, inclusion because you need people to work there. The people who work there 14 miles south of there are black and Latino. So now you got to hire those people. The East Cobb County is the capital of baseball in all of Georgia. So they get a team that they get to cheer for. They don't have to drive into the city like Neil Boyd used to scare them. And in return, you get over $40 million a year. Now, just in terms of what people are getting in terms of base salaries and stuff, in terms of working in restaurants, and you get a transformation of the police force and the culture of Cobb County. Money can work for you as a tool or against you. And if we keep acting like we're afraid to make a lot of it and empower other people, all we're going to have is a bunch of complainers who are monetizing their money through media. Because there's white media, none of them on. Like my thing is, if you were complaining about me on fan base, I would have took it.
That's right.
You're not even on fan base complaining about me. You ain't on Black Planet. Nigga, you on YouTube.
Yeah, you on YouTube talking about you independent.
Yeah.
you on them white people platform.
You could be satisfied being a millionaire. I'm in Jersey. I got my kids. I go back to South Carolina to do charity. You have a network for others to grow. And I don't think people understand, because I didn't understand until I got in those rooms, the opportunity that you can provide. I woke up this morning to the 23 Black billionaires, and I was like, oh shit, look at the opportunities that have been provided. Each one of these people represents hundreds of jobs and thousands of opportunities.
That's it.
And I'm not saying you just go celebrate everybody that gets $1 billion, as much as I'm saying, what are the opportunities? My grandfather worked at Chattahoochee Brick, which used to use convict labor. My grandfather worked at Chattahoochee Brick, which they've proven, I think, that they had a big mass grave at the old thing because Keisha Lance's fathers wouldn't let them rebuild or commemorate in any way. But if that job wasn't had by my grandfather, he couldn't have raised me. My grandfather couldn't have had one rental property. That one rental property couldn't have funded us going on vacation. My mind never would have got bigger than the West Side. My mind never would have put me in a room with Charlamagne. That mind never would have said, you need to know these two women. And we don't get anywhere. So I think, a lot of times, man, that economics is a forgotten attribute that after slavery, we understood what we were worth.
That's right.
Because the day after we were emancipated, the proclamation happened. If I was a blacksmith on a fucking plantation, all of a sudden, now this costs now, boss, I still can do this for you, boss. But it's going to cost you now,
That's
boss.
right. That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Being out there selling your fried chicken.
Yeah.
Selling your biscuits.
Oh, man, my grandfather used to, we were a baseball family. And he would take me, God damn it, desegregation, worst thing ever happened. I'm saying, Bert, what you talking about, man? We got Jackie Robinson. God damn it. He said, do you know what the Negro Leagues did for the South? And I was just like, Granddad, what are you talking about? He said they used to barnstorm. So they have games on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He say, whoever made quilts would be out there selling the quilts. Whoever fried chicken was selling chicken. And I didn't realize, like, oh shit, the Braves don't make money from baseball. Because of the salaries and shit, that they would really just
the merchandise, the food,
the merch, the food, the real estate they own.
Right.
And I just realized, oh shit, we lost an economy. Not that I'm saying I'm complaining. I love fucking Braves, right? But I understand now the economy better. And it didn't take $1 billion to teach me that. It took a man from Edenton, Georgia.
And see, that's what I think when we have these conversations about even what it is that we're building. When we say words like capitalism or, you talk money, people be like, they shrug their shoulders or, they frown their faces up. You got to just talk about the jobs.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is a business like a Crystal's in Orangeburg, South Carolina. That's going to provide 40 jobs.
Yeah.
A Crystal in Walterboro is going to provide 40 jobs. Black Effect Podcast Network, we got a staff of 17 people.
Yeah.
My good sister, Dolly Bishop, is the president of the network. She's the reason that's right. She's the reason it's successful. We got a board, right? People like John O'Brien are on the board. Me and Kevin Hart got SBH Productions. We got a whole staff that works for SBH Productions. And
so just counting in my head, you employ right now about 70 people. Easy.
Yeah, easily. Yeah, between SBH Productions, between my book imprint with Simon & Schuster, between Black Effect Podcast Network, between, Crystal's. Well, because Crystal's alone is 44. 80 people.
You're a bad nigga, man.
It's actually more.
I look at people attack fans like my brother T.I. and I say, man, I've seen this brother who could not, he don't even have to kill. I've seen him kill. I've seen him kill and I've seen him share.
But you know what's ill about you and Tip? Both of y'all at one point, I remember you said it the year you won the Grammy. I remember we were sitting in the studio. It was in February of 2024? No, 23? When you win the Grammy? It was 24? 23. February 2023. We sitting in the studio. You played Michael for me. I said, man, Mike, you're going to win a Grammy for this. And I said, but it was 24. It was 24 because it was election time was coming up. And you said, but I ain't doing nothing but focusing on the music. I ain't fucking with none of this political shit. I ain't doing none of that. I'm going to just focus on this music. I'm tired of these motherfuckers kicking my ass. Same thing with Tip. Tip was like, I'm gonna go buy this. I got this plaza over here. Yeah. I'm opening up this apartment complex.
Built 140 apartments.
He said, I learned my lesson trying to help these stupid ass motherfuckers with this politician.
And we always end up back helping.
But y'all still help the community regardless.
That's what I'm saying. We always,
you know what I mean? Regardless.
That's what I mean. The community more so than even the politicians. But Tip built, for all the criticism they give him, man, built 140 some odd affordable housing. Bought the old K-Bar on Bankhead.
Like, talk shit if you're doing more than these people.
Yeah, Tip.
That's it. Don't kick these people's back in if you're not doing more than them.
You know what's crazy? the white boy that critiqued me and criticized me, he came and apologized in the DM. And I said, well, damn, it's a shame you didn't do it publicly. But I said, come to Atlanta and let me take you around Atlanta so you can see why the importance. Because if BlackRock owns and what's Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway, mm-hmm. if they own all the rental housing, then what happens is they control the market. If you don't have small and medium business people who are from an actual community, like Roxanne Shante said, don't gentrify, re-gentrify. If you don't have people like us re-gentrifying
that's right.
to be the business owners like your father was, you don't get, we haven't raised rent since COVID. Shayna refused to raise any of our rents. She just won't. She's just like, nope, because she's from the projects. She's like, I'm not going to do that. She was like, it is what it is. You know, one day again, she's with 96 people ain't got jobs. And I'm just like, God damn. Not that I wanted to raise, but I'm just like, shit.
I'm looking to do something like that right now. I grew up in a trailer, right? Yeah. I grew up in a single wide trailer until my daddy had built my mom a ranch style home.
Yeah.
But I want to buy a mobile home trailer park in South Carolina, and I want to keep the rent at like $1,500.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And I know it's something that you probably, lose money on, but it ain't gonna kill me.
It's not gonna kill me.
But to have like 16 people living in these trailers and only got to pay $1,500 a month, that's gonna be worth it.
That's what's gonna allow you to accrue and save. Like right now, Shayna was looking at the same thing. She was like, all right, so you're gonna have some rental communities. How can we put the rents at a place where people can accrue and save money and incentivize them? So part of your rent will be accredited toward a savings, and you have to do a financial literacy that'll allow you and line you up to buy houses. I mean, we just got to get more creative. I mean, and I'm not saying because the system is not fair, but if we cooperate and we collaborate, we can overcome the system.
And there's small things, right? Like I own there's a building I own in Moss Corner, South Carolina, and I lease it right to this company, but the grass needs to be cut every week.
Yeah.
My partner got a lawn care service.
Let me hire him.
You know what I'm saying? So my partner hit me. He actually wanted to do the lawn care at the Crystals.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, but I actually got a building in Moss Corner you could be doing right now. You could start that yesterday.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize he had just started a lawn care service. So we had commissioned somebody else to do it. But now he does the lawn care service at this building I own. It's things like that that constantly help you to provide opportunity for other people, man. It's like it's an ecosystem that you create just by doing something, by buying one building.
I got to introduce you to this young man because he wants to go into broadcasting. His father is a sheriff in Atlanta. He's a neighbor of Swift's, but his father has a lawn care service that he participates in too. And Shayna and I use him for our buildings and stuff. If that man is a broke sheriff, he's going to go to job a lot madder. But if that man has a job that lawn care service, a side business, he's gonna be in a little more hospitable mood.
That's right.
And we use him. And talking about sheriffs, I've gotten flack for my father formerly being a police officer. I have a cousin that's currently a police chief, another cousin that's a sergeant on Atlanta's SWAT team. And I've not always had the best relationship with police because just like every other black kid, you know what I mean? You get accused of shit you didn't do and you do some punk ass shit. Sometimes you get away with, sometimes you don't. But I don't feel like I'm gonna die every traffic stop here. What is the criminal justice landscape 2025 and forward? What must we do? I think we need to end privatized, incentivized prisons.
Absolutely.
Because when you start talking about places like Moncks Corner, Middle Georgia, South Georgia, you start talking about being able to ship thousands of black men there.
That's right.
Those black men get counted on the census, yet they have no vote. So you can count me on your census, yet I have no vote. So these towns have an incentive to not only make sure you get there, but keep your ass there once you get there. What's criminal justice like? We're going in to look at people to vote for or vote against. In your opinion, as a person who's had experience with the criminal justice system, what do we need to be looking for as black voters? Who do we need to be pushing for? What do we need to be pushing for? And not who in terms of personality, but what type of politician should we be looking for?
I don't want to talk to no politician who's talking to me about criminal justice reform. I want to talk to people who's talking to me about how to reform criminals, or even better, how to keep people from being criminals in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, when you have somebody like, like I hear him talk in New York on Mondani, right? And he talks about affordability.
Yes.
Right? And he talks about the fact that, in these neighborhoods, we need resources. Like when they have the conversation about defunding the police don't mean that you're just trying to take money out of the police, officers' pockets. It means that you just want to take some of that money that's going to these, police departments and put it back into the community. You want to be able to send kids to trade school. You want to be able to provide, mental health resources for people. You want to be able to provide better schools for individuals. Who's done that yet? I haven't seen anybody make an investment into our community, like get to the root of the problem, get to the root of the issue. Like, it's after you already in handcuffs and, you in front of the judge, yeah, you want everything to be fair, but let's prevent people from getting in the handcuffs in the first place. And the only way you do that is by providing them opportunity. So if you're not talking like that, I have no interest in hearing anything you got to say.
Yeah. And if you get a 2 to 5 year sentence, imagine like some of the European countries that send in, first of all, some of the European countries, their jail cells look like dorm rooms. So they're not acting as animals. Mm-hmm. Beyond their jail cells look like dorm rooms, they go in and they come out better in terms of trades and education. We could take young men that are being in, like, say in Georgia, you could take a young man that has a 2-year sentence, and within 18 months, you can get a barber's license, you can get an electrician's license, plumber's license. Why aren't we fixing our prisons to fix people?
I agree, but I want to keep them from even getting to prison in the first place by implementing those things while they're still on the street.
They should bring back trades to high school.
Yes, so they don't even get to a life of crime. I like what you did in Georgia. Like, that's something that people don't know that you and Brian Kemp did as far as trades. Talk about that. No, talk about that, because trade school is major, man.
So Governor Kemp was signing the law to bring back the Hope Scholarship, which would essentially help AB students, even some marginalized students that are about a C average, bump that average up and go to college for free, go to state schools for free. I feel, based on conversations, me pushing, just being an asshole about it, I'm texting the governor at 3 a.m. What do you think about this? He put me in touch with the person who's over trades here, and the governor also added trade schools to that. And I just, he was a Republican governor that was brave enough to push back against Trump and not fold. He was a Republican governor that was moderate enough to understand the importance of trades, therefore attach that to the bill, where not only if you're a, B student in high school here, not only can you go to Kennesaw State and stuff, you can go to Atlanta Area Tech. You can go to Atlanta Metropolitan is what they used to call it, and you can pick up a trade. And after 16, 24 months, you come out making money to support a family. I honestly thought, and I said this, and this is what kills me about the radicalism. People were angry at me about it, but if you're a girl in high school and you get pregnant, like my mother was pregnant with me at 16 years old at Frederick Douglass High School. My mother had the option of getting WIC. She had her mother was a nurse, so she didn't need the stuff, but she had all these governmental options. My dad didn't have any options. My dad had a bullshit job until his aunt came home, his aunt, who was a Panther, came home and say, the city of Atlanta hiring, you need to go to probably be a police officer, right? My dad never had the option of them saying, hey, young man, this woman is is going to be on the WIC program. The first 2 years of the program, you will not be charged child support under the mandate that you have to go to trade school. Imagine how life would be radically different. If you said, if a young woman gets pregnant, the young man that gets her pregnant, instead of paying child support or being charged child support against whatever WIC, he has the option of going to trade school.
That's right.
You start to graduate tradesmen who then have more than an incentive, because most of the time young couples break up because it's a bad advice from dads and uncles about having more than one girl, or it's the advice of not or it's the lack of economics, and that stress causes that infighting. Imagine if they say, okay, well, you get pregnant, if you guys go to trade school and you guys get married, there's even more of a government incentive. If you look at places like Libya, we killed Muammar Gaddafi. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, but we killed him.
Because he had all that gold.
Yeah, absolutely. And was going to unionize the African dollar.
Change the currency, yeah.
Yeah, but you had the opportunity. If you get married there, you get given a house. Then if you do these other things, there's a government incentive to grow families. We have to bring that back. And the Nation of Islam is one of the organizations that teaches that type of order. But yeah, our governor did do that. And people don't credit. They don't say, Mike, well, your governor did this, or your relationship with that. So I don't understand what we really want sometimes.
But also too, and
do we just want to be a good dog for our masters?
I think people want to be a good dog for their masters. And by the way, I don't even know if they care about having masters. They just want to bite. They want to bite those of us that are actually out there trying to help. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even think people get it, man. Like, I remember one time, Mike, you told me one time, and I'll never forget this, and I want to say this on this show since we talking. You said to me, hey, man, I appreciate y'all out here, pushing for Vice President Kamala Harris to be the VP, but don't push for that woman to be the VP. I said, why, Mike? You said, because, man, she gonna get in that office, the President Biden ain't gonna do shit, and she gonna get all the blame. And you was 100% right. And I'm gonna say something else. When Vice President Kamala Harris ran, one of the first people to reach out to me to help her was Michael Renda.
Absolutely.
Killer Mike.
Absolutely.
So I don't, for everybody out there that thinks, Mike is some MAGA leaning, whatever, he was one of the first people that was like, yo, I want to help her. She need to be down. You had a whole plan for her. She need to be down here knocking on doors.
Yep.
I forgot what you said.
Called Nikema Williams.
You said you wanted it to be at the seafood spot?
Yep.
And then you was going to take her.
I would have loved to have gotten her in Savannah. I would have loved to have gotten her in Macon. I would have loved to have gotten her up and down that Bankhead Strip. I would have loved to have gotten her on the west side of Georgia. I'm going to tell you one of the most genius things and evil things I saw Donald Trump do when he turned himself into Rice Street. And this is when I knew the little black girl he was using, Michaela. She was effective. He shouted out Washington Park, the Bluff, Simpson Road. I was like,
is that when he went to Chick-fil-A or something? Or Waffle House? Where was that?
Chick-fil-A. I said, God damn, she good. Because if we would have gotten Kamala in that neighborhood, no, she's won, but we have higher turnout. And poor black people don't need to feel ignored. So just, those folks out there, I appreciate all the work you do.
I say that, my brother.
And I appreciate being appreciated. But, as long as we're going to be confused, just know that I tried my best to do my best for the best reasons. I don't like.
But there's some things people need to know. Like that Kamala story, some people need to know. Because it's not like, I'm connecting the dots. Mike, talk to this person, talk to that person.
They didn't
but for whatever reason, they just didn't want to do it.
They didn't want to talk.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I media, culture, politics. I'm not gonna hold you a lot long because I know we didn't been there for an hour. But I feel like media, culture, politics. I feel like rappers 40 years ago understood how important they were. Chuck D used it effectively. Ice Cube used it effectively. KRS-One used it effectively. We seem to be very ineffective in terms of the MC today. How important, because I think it's radically important. What could we do to sharpen our knife in terms of media, culture, and politics?
I think you're doing it. I think, we're just looking at it to come through the music.
Yeah.
But I don't think it necessarily comes through the music anymore. I think it comes through platforms like Conversate with Killer Mike, or watching Killer Mike on a Bill Maher, listening to a David Banner interview. You know what I mean? Like I think it comes in different ways now. And I mean, everything is hip hop culture. Hip hop isn't even just necessarily the rappers.
Yep.
I always say I give Angela Rye a lot of credit, just like a Tesla and Figaro, because they speak the language. Like they'll go on these platforms and be quoting rap lyrics.
Shouts out to Angela. Shouts out to Amanda who just did a hell of a.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but that's hip. To me, that is hip hop. So I think a lot of times we're looking at it to come only from the artist and to come only through the music. But I think it's coming from so many different ways.
And let me get David Banner his props, man. I love that brother, man. I feel like we damn near don't deserve somebody that good. David Banner is one of the most loud, bold, and brave and unspoken sons of guns our community has ever created. He is Mississippian-like in his bravery.
That's right.
And I think that I don't want to wait for him to die to tell him I love you.
I love David Banner too, man.
I think and I look at you as a fearless leader. Me, him, and Tip made a pact years ago to just never talk against each other. If we have something to say, we'll take each other in the room, we'll speak about it. But I think more black men need to make that pact with one another.
I agree. Like they say, a man that can master his tongue, his dick, and his stomach.
Yeah.
Is a dangerous man.
Amen. Well, I'm working on the tongue. I'm 85 pounds down.
I'm working on the tongue. I'm working on the mouth.
Hey,
pause.
Hey, man, I love you.
Yes, sir. I love you too, brother.
And you are truly a leader, and you are one of the most dynamic journalists we have, and I appreciate you. And DJ Envy, wherever you at out there, I love you,
man. But think about that. No, that's a good. I know you got to wrap up, but that's
we don't. We can.
What you just said, that conversation that you and Envy had on the Breakfast Club years ago about public school versus private school. It still goes viral right now to this day.
And people need to understand, I love him. Like I really do. What I've seen him do in terms of be a father, be a husband.
He's a great dude, man.
To be a business person and to stick by his morals and integrity, man, you're a constant example.
But that conversation goes viral not because it was conflict.
Nah.
Even though, it's two black men going back and forth. Well, black and a Dominican, but,
That nigga black. And his dad was a policeman, too. I know. That's my guy.
It went viral because of the substance of the conversation.
Yes.
And it causes a debate every time it goes viral between public school and private school. That's hip-hop.
And my daughter goes to Hampton.
You see what I'm saying?
So,
but that's hip hop. So it's not always gonna come through the music.
No, it's not.
It's gonna come through people from hip hop culture just having, authentic conversations about what's going on in our community.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, brother. I
love you too, man. Killer Mike, one of my top 5 favorite rappers, one of my top 5 favorite people. Can I ask one question before I go though?
Man, you can do whatever you want.
Because I was in the barbershop this morning, salute to my guy Ty. I'm in the barbershop in Jersey. And he was like, "What you doing this week?" I said, "Man, I gotta go to Atlanta." Ty been my barber for like 15 years.
I got some product over there to your right too. I'm going to give you.
Absolutely. Yep. So I'm like, I'm gonna be in Atlanta, and I say I'm gonna see my man Mike this weekend. I'm doing Invest Fest. He was like, "Oh shit!" He said, "Man, you heard that new Smoke Dizza with Killer Mike, the generational favors?" Yeah. I said, "No, I haven't heard it." He put it on for me, and so we in the barbershop, and I'm like, "Damn!" And my barber come in, he goes, "Rico charges the new slavery." I'm like, yo. I said, when I see Mike, I need him to expound on that line for me.
I mean, I don't even know. I don't even remember the verse.
You said, I forgot. I'm paraphrasing, but you basically said they're giving my people's Ricos. That's the new slavery.
Yeah, it is. When you look at Rico charges was started for the mafia and actually organized crime. Black people are great at being bad at crime. We're terrific at being bad at crime. We can't even organize a good back to school giveaway. So we definitely not good at organized crime. But the RICO laws have allowed people to lock us up in mass, and slavery is illegal in the United States except for
13th Amendment.
The 13th Amendment.
That's right.
And if you have not paid that attention, then you will cheer for RICO charges to be brought against rappers because you're envious of their jewelry and their cars. You will pray for rappers to get locked up and street kids to get locked up because they cause a nuisance on your street or have done something horrendous. But it sets up a funnel for slavery. Mm-hmm. You got to look at the prison population going from 500,000 to over 2 million after Reagan privatizes prisons. Prisons are now responsible for building roads. There was a fight in Mississippi between state prisons and federal prisons for who got to cut grass and clean up the yards because they don't want to hire your brother with the lawn care service anymore because they have free labor right there in the prison. The question is who gets to use it, the feds or the state. So when you hear about these charges, just know that RICO charges could be as simple as your mother holding a bag, your book bag with the dope in it. She's become compliant in that. They'll lock her ass up on the RICO too, and she'll be the old mammy in the slave house packing forks and pens in the plastic bags while you and the other one cutting grass. We have to be suspect of government at every single corner. We have to make sure the state fears us and not the other way around. And if we don't, we're just giving ourselves and being beholden to masters all over again.
Damn. Conversate with Killer Mike, y'all.
Love you, brother.
Love you too, King. Yes, sir.
My name's Michael Render. They call me Killer Mike. And this is Conversate. I just want to conversate. I just want to conversate with you. I want to convert. Conversate's not a real word, but I encourage questioning. I want to encourage thought. I want to conversate. I want to have discussions with people that I may not agree with or that I may not understand and try to gain perspective. I think we all should be doing that. We all should be in talk. We all should be in a constant state of talking because that's what precedes organizing and mobilizing and revolutionizing and changing things. I believe in the power of conversation. I believe in Conversate. So I'm here to talk. I'm here to talk and I'm here to listen and learn. And I'm here to have people impress upon me different ways and thoughts and mentality. I believe in conversation. I believe in jive, talking, and rapping. What they call it. I'm a rapper. I'm rapping. But before rappers were rapping over beats for money, I want to exchange some respect with one another. So we're gonna conversate. We're gonna check it out. Yeah. Conversate with Killer Mike.
Hey, y'all got a question for my crew? You want to talk to me, Bear Swift, or anybody and ask them something? I want you to come check us out at conversatewithkillermike@gmail.com. Send your questions in, send your thoughts and concerns, and we're going to make sure we get them up online where they'll be discussed, talked about, and hey, we even might invite you on the show. Let's conversate.